Hello, welcome to the Strong and Sober Podcast, episode whatever. My name is Maddie. Joining me is my sleepy-eyed co-host. He supports a team that is not in the NL West, thankfully, Mr. Lucas Weaver.
Yo, they used to be. They started out in the NL West.
Wait, the Reds did?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Did not know that Cincinnati was anywhere near the West.
Yeah, they used to be in the same division as the Dodgers and the Padres. That's why when,
That's
when you talk to old school Dodger fans, they hate the Reds because in the 70s when the Reds were won three championships, they beat the Dodgers out of it.
the Dodgers should just go back to New York. That's how I feel. Get out of my state.
So,
Anyway, how's your week been?
it's good. I had to ride my motorcycle in the rain last night. It's
Oh,
kind
that's no fun.
but it's beautiful now and it's I actually got to hang out with an old friend yesterday and it was nice. How about you?
Man, it's funny because last week we talked about mental health and depression and all that, and then just out of nowhere, man, right smack dab in the middle of the week, I just got hit with like heavy, heavy, heavy depression. And it's like I actually had a girl break up with me one time because, I was talking to her and I was like, oh, yeah, I've, been dealing with a little depression lately. And she honestly broke up with me and said, oh, your little sadness isn't depression. Call me when you wake up in the hospital because you tried to kill yourself. And I was like, wow, that's really immature of you to compare like levels of depression and tell me that what I'm feeling is anyway. Yeah. So I got hit with like the whole empty, what is this life for? What am I doing? Just listless, not wanting to do anything, just trying to sleep all day. And it was really, man, it really sucked. But I came around. I got to go to a show with some old friends on Thursday. I got to go see Hanabi and Necrogoblicon, and dude, it's wild. And then I went to a Rockies Padre game yesterday. The Rockies embarrassed me again, which is great. But the best part of the week is I discovered bird legs, which icky, stupid cat. I discovered Bird Legs, which is the singer of the Nerve Agents new band. And if you know me, I love the Nerve Agents, and I've been waiting for new music for them for like 20 plus years. So that was amazing. And I also downloaded this app called Finch. It's a self-care app. I've been seeing a bunch of commercial. This is not a sponsored thing. I've actually been using this for the last few days. I've been seeing the thing on YouTube a bunch, and it's like talking about like if you have trouble like getting out of bed or just meeting goals or being organized or whatever, you do this app and it gives you, it's almost like a Tamagotchi, like a little pet you have to take care of. And the more you take care of yourself, you can set goals, and then like the bird will evolve and grow up, and it
That's
cheers you on. And
so you're like feeding it with your progress and it
exactly. So you set a goal, and when you achieve the goal, the bird will basically get food and energy, and it gets all excited, and then it goes on little adventures.
I
And
like
it, dude, you should try it. It's honestly like my wife suggested I try it, and I was like, yeah, whatever. I'm sure it'll be stupid. And I tried it, and at first I was like, okay, like it's not bad. Like I could see the benefit of this. And then I started exploring the app more, and they've got like soundscapes and breathing exercises and all this other stuff. And I was like, man, I kind of like this. And then it's got just like little things that you can do for yourself. Like I've never been one to wash my face. I know some people wake up in the morning and they wash their face right away, and I just never did. I would wipe the little crusties from my eyes, and that's basically my morning routine. But it has wash your face as one of the goals for the day, and you can remove it, you can add whatever you want. But I'm like, I'm gonna start trying that, just see how it feels. And it's only been like 3 or 4 days, but already I'm loving washing my face in the morning. It's
that's
reminding me to put on sunscreen, it's reminding me to drink water, and I'm like, wow, basically what I needed was a virtual bird to be my mom and wag her finger at me and be like, don't forget to take your vitamins, don't forget to take your creatine, don't forget to wash your face, and
It's helping you stack wins, like little wins, like where
it is.
yeah, that's cool.
And then at the end of the day, it tells you, I'm so proud of you. Look at all you accomplished today. And then at the end of the week, it gives you a little status report. And it's all positive reinforcement, which is great.
I like that.
Yeah. So, it's not a sponsored ad by any means, but hey, Finch, if you want to sponsor us, get in touch. StrongandSoberPodcast at gmail.com. But it's, yeah, man, it's only been like 3 or 4 days, but it's actually been helping, and I'm surprised. I am in the one free week of premium right now, and I honestly think I might do the year because it's like $35 for the year. Um, yeah. And I also think I'm going to completely change the way I work out. that's a whole nother conversation for another day. But I think I'm going to change my focus from getting as big as I can to explosive power.
So like hit training.
Yeah, exactly. I want to, I'm almost 44. Like, I'm never going to be a bodybuilder. Not that I want to be, but I still want to have size. I still want to be lean, but I also want to have like good endurance and, like good cardiovascular health and stuff like that. So I'm like, well, what can I do? I start looking into it, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe I don't train at high weight, with super high reps and risk injury. Maybe I do like more endurance, more cardio. So like, actually, I want to talk to you about your gym because it has a pool, and so that's one of the things I want to get into is more swimming, but that's later. Um, so WrestleMania is right around the corner, and I know you send me wrestling memes all the time, but are you familiar with one Randy Orton?
Yeah. Yes, I am. I'm more familiar
So
with his dad, right?
yeah, so Cowboy Bob Orton.
Yeah, yeah,
So young Randall Keith, he has a theme song, and that theme song goes, I hear voices in my head. They counsel me, they understand, they talk to me. And that got me thinking that everyone has this voice in their head that talks to us all day. And the wild part is that everyone just kind of assumes that that voice is them. But the more I think about it, the more I'm starting to think that that voice isn't actually us.
yeah. Well, I mean, dude, it's what's wild is that some people, and this is a known fact that some people don't have that inner dialogue or that voice, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all.
No, no, yeah. Like, I can't picture things in my head. People will be like, oh, I picture an apple and I can see it sitting on a table with the stem. And I'm like, I see black all the time. That's it.
Yeah. Um, well, for me though, like I have that voice, but I have like I think I have well not think I have three voices in my head. I have it's like kind of like like the old school like the angel and the devil on their shoulders type thing. Like I have a voice telling me uh something like that this is the good thing, and I have a voice telling me the bad thing, and then I have my voice.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like it's like the three of us in my head um like planning what I'm gonna do next. You know what I'm saying?
So do you get in arguments with yourself in your head?
Uh Not really, but I have like I've learned as the years gone on, I've learned to like I'm able to quiet down the the bad voice in my head more than I am the good voice. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
um I learned a long time ago for me that if I just do everything that I'm supposed to do, um I sleep better at night. I don't have anxiety because oh like I like when it comes to work, say I did something I wasn't supposed to do at work, which I haven't done, but I'm just saying this is an example. Uh I'll like I would sleep. I wouldn't sleep that night because I'm like, oh, like I couldn't do that. So I realized in my life it's just easier just to do the right thing so I don't dwell on the wrong thing, because I've talked about this in the past. It's called karmic debt. Like
Mm.
you it's karma, but it's in your head. So like say you get in an argument with your spouse or something, and then you say something that you shouldn't have said. Well, you're paying for that because you're thinking about that for the next 2, 3 hours, days, you know what I'm saying? So you actually get that back. So I've learned that it's just better to stay on the good track so I don't get that karmic debt.
When and we've talked about things like karmic debt before, not karmic debt specifically, but the belief to achieve and the negative thinking leading to negative actions and things like that, and the power of positive thinking and all of those other things. And I mean, you basically hit the nail on the head. I mean, my whole thought wasn't necessarily like the good and the bad voices, but you know how I always say that I just tell my brain to shut up.
Yeah.
So I I think what it is the voice that we hear more often than not is the comfort and the security, because you get the voices that tell you, hey, you can skip your workout today, or hey, maybe we just go back to bed for another 2 hours, or hey, there's no reason why we can't eat this whole pizza. And what that is those are all of the things that would make you feel good in the moment, but ultimately don't do much to help you in the long run. And so that's, when I say I'm telling my brain to shut up, that's basically what I think I'm doing is I'm shutting out the negativity.
Yeah.
And the voice is, I think, the thing that kind of keeps people stuck. It's like the one thing that tells you, like, skip the workout, have the drink, you can start tomorrow. So if you had to describe the voice in your head, do they all sound the same? Are you able to differentiate between them? Like, does the quote bad voice sound like, Luke, you should totally take a shit for 45 minutes while you're on the clock?
No, it's just it just sounds like thoughts. Like just if to me I'm just thinking, and then I'll be like I'm trying to think of a good, so this is like, for now, this has been the voice in my head lately, because I've been really thinking about like energy and like frequency and all that. So like now my whole voice in my head is like it has to do with like I need to start eating real, like, alive food. You know what I'm saying?
God, me too.
Like fruit and like vegetables and stuff that's alive. You know what I'm saying?
Whole Foods.
Yeah. So it's like, and then I like my brain's been telling me it's like, okay, well, you want to do that, but like why, like what is okay, so you're putting like rotting meat in your dead rotting meat in your body. You know what I'm saying? And like the so it's like my voice is telling me now that I need to like focus more on like whole foods, like you said, even though like meat's technically a whole food, right?
Right.
So but I'm talking about like whole food, like that's alive, you know what I'm saying? So it's like
Right.
that's been a really on my mind lately, and so that's like the type of conversations I'm having, and then in my head I'm like the quote unquote bad voice is like, well, like you need protein, you need this, you need that, you need this, but it's like, and then the other voice is like, well, like just by looking at it and thinking about it this way makes more sense, because it's like, have you ever seen the visual effects of like, I don't know, they put like a light on a fruit and there's like an aura around the fruit, like it's alive. Like, have you ever seen that?
I don't think I have.
And then they do it with like meat, and it's just like it's dead. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, why I should be putting if I want to work on my energy and my frequency and all that, like I should be putting the stuff that's like alive. You know what I'm saying? Not, it's just, I don't know. So that's the conversation that's going on in my head. That's been going on in my head the last couple of days. Uh,
Well, oh, good.
no, go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, like, so basically the things that are telling you to eat whole foods, that's in your head, the good voice. And the things that are telling you to skip the workout, have the drink, etc., that's the bad voice.
It's,
And the
so with me, it's not really telling me, it's just giving me the thought. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's allowing me to think about the bad things. You know what I'm saying? Like nothing's like telling me like, hey, like eat this, eat this. It's just like, oh, here's an option, you know?
Yeah, well, and so the bad voice, like, it's the problem is it's not convincing, right? And it doesn't sound evil or something, but it sounds reasonable. It's like, oh well, I can eat this meat, I can eat this thing that's dead now. But the good voice is there too, telling you to get up and eat something that's healthy for you, something that wasn't, alive and is now dead. And the real you, the third voice, has to decide which one wins.
Yeah. Like what explain your like your inner dialogue.
I mean, so me, I feel like I ask myself questions more than anything. I'll ask myself, do I want to do this, or what do I want to do? And then I will answer those questions. Well, yeah, I should totally just go get a burrito because that's fast, it's easy. I definitely have food at home, but then I have to make that. So my brain is always trying to tell me things that are fast and that are easy because I'm always doing something. I'm always busy. When I make my to-do list for the day, I just think of like 20 things and I put them all on there and I'm trying to figure out how I can get them all done through the day. And honestly, one of my Finch goals is that I need to take time to do something that makes myself happy. And yes, feeling accomplished at the end of the day makes me feel happy and I'm okay, good, look at all I got done today. But I don't actually take the time to just sit and enjoy life. So I feel like my brain, or my inner dialogue, is mostly trying to push me into things that are convenient so that I can accomplish the things on my list versus actually enjoying like the whole, like, I'm alive, you're alive, but are you actually living thing? So that's kind of what I feel like I'm going through, where I'm doing all of these things and I'm alive, I'm here, but I'm not really enjoying the time that I'm spending here, which is why, getting out and going to the show with my friends, getting to go to the baseball game, etc., like that made me feel really happy. That and bird legs. But when I found bird legs, I took that time. I listened. I mean, it's basically a Nerve Agents album, so it's like 15 minutes long, even though it's like 10 songs. But I listened to that album throughout the day as I was doing stuff. Like we tore up all the, I don't know if you can see right here, but we tore up all the carpet in this room and we put down these little rugs until we get the flooring laid down. But the whole time I was doing that, I was listening to Bird Legs because I was like, oh man, I'm so excited for this. Like I've waited literally over 20 years to hear another Nerve Agents album, and this is as close as I'm going to get. But so I think to put an answer to your question more succinctly, I think my inner voice sounds like, if we do this thing that's easy and maybe not great for us, we can do all of these other things that we want to get done. Look at all we can accomplish if we take this shortcut.
Yeah. Yeah, that's I mean I have that all I have that too. It's my biggest thing is just like getting up and moving, you know? Like it's but once I get moving is when I feel like my gears start turning, but it's the get up part
Bro,
is
you should try that Finch app. I'm telling you, like, I honest 100% not sponsored, but it's done so much like over the last week just to help get me motivated. One of the things is get out of bed. And
yeah.
as soon as you get out of bed, boop, that's 5 little energies for your bird.
Oh, nice. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it stacks wins. I'm gonna get it for sure.
What's the most common thing that your voice tells you to avoid? Because you've talked about the good voice, the quote good voice telling you what things you should do. So what things does your quote bad voice tell you that you should do or avoid?
Um, I mean, it's like I used to, well, I still kind of am, but I'm like a hermit. Like my bad voice is like I want to go out and I want to hang out with people, but like my bad voice is like, oh well, if you do this and like, oh well, if you go here, like, oh, and it's just, oh, there's gonna be a bunch of people. It's like giving me reasons why I shouldn't go, and like, and because you know how humans are, like we're all social creatures, dude. Like
Right.
we're not supposed to be just locked in the house all day, you know? So it's like, and I know that, and I know that if I go and I hang out with people, then it's beneficial for me. But like once I get to the point, like it's I start questioning like, oh, should I go? Oh, like it's like it's like it was a lot worse when I was smoking weed, like way
Oh
worse.
yeah.
But because I'd be ready to go, and then once I did that, dude, like good luck finding me, bro. Like, but yeah, so it's I mean it's getting better, and I'm learning how. Learning how to control it, and it's just like what you say. It's like it's telling that part to shut up, which it really helps because it's if you could quiet down that voice, your potential is a lot better.
Well, see, it's funny that you mentioned the going out and doing things because I have this problem with concert tickets, right? My wife has told me I need to stop buying concert tickets because I'll buy tickets to shows months in advance. Like for instance, I mean, this is a bad example because I can't go to this show now, but I'll buy tickets to shows months in advance, and then the show day comes up, and suddenly I just start thinking, oh man, I really don't want to go.
Yeah.
I have so much stuff to do today. And then, I have a lot to do tomorrow and it's all the way up in this area. And I'm going to be going by myself. And I start thinking of all these reasons, almost like I'm convincing myself that I don't want to go. When in reality, I do want to go. I want to go see this band, which is why I bought the ticket 4, 5, 6 months in advance. But the problem is in the moment, that would take me out of the comfort of being at home, being with my wife, watching X Files, doing all these things that are easier than getting dressed, getting in my car, driving 30 minutes to wherever, standing there for hours, not talking to people, listening to bands that I may not know or may not like, and then worrying about not actually enjoying. So, like in December, I was going to go see the Bouncing Souls. And you know how I feel about the Bouncing Souls. I mean, I have like 4 Bouncing Souls tattoos. I've seen that band like 60 times. I've gone on tour with that band twice. Like, I'm friends with them. And I really wanted to go see them because I haven't seen them in probably 4 or 5 years. But the day of the show, I started thinking, man, I really haven't liked their last few albums. What if I just don't have as much fun? Bouncing Souls is always way more fun when I'm with my friends, like my crew, like the Broken Hearts Brigade. We need to be together because if I'm there by myself, kind of what's the point? So I started negative talking myself out of going to this show. And ultimately, I was just like, it's fine. I've seen them plenty of times. And even though I spent $45 on a ticket, I didn't go. And we did a whole episode on this before, but your brain is wired to avoid discomfort and conserve energy. And so when you hear these thoughts about, oh, I don't like their last few albums, oh, I'll be alone, it sounds logical, but it's actually just trying to keep you comfortable. And that you mentioned it was worse when you were smoking weed. This goes in with addiction just as hard because I don't think that the addiction is just physical. I think the voice just gets louder. Like, so the voice says, oh, one more time, you deserve it. It's not a big deal. You had a hard day, just one beer. Or, hey, at least your friends are at the bar. Oh, just one more joint. So it's the voice gets louder because now you have a physical addiction to something. So your brain starts wanting to keep you comfortable and just suggesting that voice or suggesting that thing more often and louder.
But which voice gets loud? Is it the bad voice? Because I feel when I was in addiction, I felt like um the bad voice got louder and the good voice just disappeared. You know,
Well, 100%.
so I was only making like bad decisions, you know, without even having that dialogue in my head to be like I think the addiction part or like the chemicals that we consume will shut that good voice completely out or like where you can't even hear it.
Well, and I mean, that's 100% accurate. You start feeling it physically. So with alcohol, you take that beer and you instantly feel the release, the calm from that first sip because you know where you're going. You know that at the end of that first beer, you're going to feel a little all right, you know, a little looser. By the end of the second beer, you're going to feel like you're great. It's like, oh man, this is what I needed. I had such a hard day. I feel the stress melting away. By the third beer, you start to get that little bit wobbly kind of feeling. And then you know by the fourth or fifth beer, like you're on a good one. And I think that's the thing is that bad voice is now at full volume. And since you know the physical things that are tied to what it's telling you to do, and when you're deep in addiction, that voice just drowns out everything else. The good voice is still there. You can't hear it anymore because getting sober has finally allowed you to let that good voice back in. You start understanding all of the negative things that come with your addiction. You start understanding, yeah, I may feel good in the moment having a couple beers, but I spent $60 last night. But I got in my car and drove home, even though I felt fine. I could have got a DUI. I could have hurt myself or someone else. But I woke up in the morning and realized that I called my ex or that there's some stranger in my bed. So the good voice now can be like, hey, you notice all these things?
Yeah.
This is also what happens when you do that thing. If you listen to this guy over here, you also have all of this stuff to deal with.
So do you think the addiction is really just the bad voice winning over and over or until it becomes a habit?
I mean, that's one way of looking at it. I mean, because if you put it all, I'm gonna say no. Because I'm gonna say if the bad voice just keeps winning over, then I feel like that almost removes the idea of free will, right?
Yeah,
Ultimately, we make the choices.
that's right.
We can tell the bad voice to shut up. But I feel like there is a physical dependency that comes with it. You know, like I had mentioned before, I did an ad for these weed gummies, right? And they weren't really even supposed to have any weed or much weed, but I took one and I felt weird, you know, I felt a little anxiety and stuff. But immediately the next day, I'm thinking, oh, maybe I should just take another one, you know, like I did feel kind of good. Yes, I had this anxiety and all this other stuff. And so I think that the dopamine that was released in my brain and the associate that also just shows how strong my addictive personality is right there. But I start remembering all of the good quote good times I had on weed, and then the bad voice is a little louder. It's like, hey, remember all this? And I have to remember that there is a reason I stopped doing this. And so I don't necessarily think that addiction is the bad voice winning over and over and over again. I do feel like sometimes there are extenuating factors. Sometimes there is stress, there are peer pressure, there's all this other stuff. So while I do feel like the bad voice kind of wins over, I do feel like other things can influence it. And I feel like the habit itself allows the bad voice to continue to win over.
Yeah.
Not that the bad voice builds the habit.
I feel like the habit allows it and it also quiets the good voice, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Did you notice that in early sobriety your one of your voices was louder?
Um in early sobriety, like I said, for many episodes that my head was so scrambled that I was just like I couldn't even keep like thoughts going on, you know? So it's like I was like the chemical imbalance in my brain was like I was like rewiring my brain the first couple of years. So I was like the thought of like having that the dialogue wasn't as good as it is now, you know? So it's yeah, hold on, what was it again? My bad.
I'd say in early sobriety, was one of the voices louder for you?
Yeah. Well,
Like, did you hear the bad voice really loud, being like, "Just drink, bro, just drink," or was it the good voice being, "Hey, there's a reason you're doing this. Remember this, remember this, remember this. There, you do not want to have that other drink."
yeah, no, I it got to the point where I there was no drinking for me at all. So it's like that voice wasn't the bad voice wasn't telling me to drink. It was I was already like set in stone that I wasn't going to drink or but I mean, but I also I also became more like lenient on like I consumed a lot more uh marijuana because of it. So like I did replace that with the weed, which like also it could either shut your brain down or it could like make you just think about, you know. So it's in the addiction, yeah, I replaced it with wine, but it got louder when I replaced it, you know?
So, with you replacing the alcohol with the weed, do you think that that was the good voice telling you not to drink and the bad voice telling you to smoke, or do you think it was solely the good voice telling you, "Hey, don't drink, but smoking is okay because dot dot dot."
Yeah. So when I was like so I was I started smoking weed at a very young age and like I didn't I never did it by myself. I was always like I was always with somebody. I was just same with alcohol. Like it was never like, oh, I'm gonna like like smoke in my room or you know something like that. It was always like, oh, hey, you want to hang out and then go there and then you know it was like that. So I my like all right, how do I explain this? Like my my thought like so okay so here this is what happened. So as I quit drinking, then I something in me was having me I started smoking by myself. You know what I'm saying? So I believe that it went from like okay you're not drinking anymore, that's the good voice, to like to the bad voice is like okay now you're I mean a lot of it had to do because I wasn't living on my own. This all happened after I moved out, but like I never in my heart and in like the way I felt, like I never wanted to, and I never saw myself doing this all by myself. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? It eventually it got to me doing it by myself, is a which became a totally different like dependency, you know? So it's yeah, I mean I think it works both ways. I think it'll tell you to it'll like the bad voice is what pushed me into um becoming like doing these things on my own, you know?
So, do you think you believed it was the good voice at first telling you that you could smoke instead of drink, or do you think that it was always the bad voice, but you just mistook it for
I
the
think I
good
just
voice?
replaced it. You know, we always say you gotta replace one addiction with the other. I think I
Yeah.
just gradually, it just naturally replaced it with weed, and then it like, dude, my like, I always in the back of my head like knew that I like, okay, like my friends are out here like smoking all the time, but I'm only smoking with them, you know, so I'm not going home and smoking. But I never thought I would ever become like a quote unquote like stoner. Like blazing in my room, like all that, you know? So it's like it went from me knowing that would never happen to it actually happening and it actually becoming a more, I'm not saying that the addiction became worse than my alcohol addiction because I never actually got into like crazy trouble. The alcohol made me a totally different person, but like so it's like but I feel like the addiction of my marijuana addiction that I had was ended up becoming more I became more reliant on that than I was on alcohol.
So, do you think that when people relapse, it's because of physical cravings, or do you think they just start believing the voice?
I think the voice helps them, but I think it comes down to comfort. Like they wanna feel that comfort, you know?
I mean, I agree. And so, like, I don't personally think it's physical cravings, because I think once you get past a certain point, you no longer have that craving physically. I no longer have the physical craving of, oh, I want to just have a beer and feel whatever my body goes through. If anything, my brain is telling me we are really stressed out right now. You know what would help? A glass of whiskey. But I've learned to tell that part of my brain to shut up because I understand all of the physical things that go with it. And the crazy thing is, we were talking about how I was feeling depressed earlier this week. That voice doesn't just push you into bad habits, it also tears you down. It fills you with negative self-talk, like you're not good enough, you'll never change, what's the point of this? And I feel like part of, when I talk about, we on the last episode I was talking about depression and how a lot of the time I just tell my brain to shut up. I feel like that is what a lot of people overlook, is that the voice in their head is giving them these bad ideas, that they're not good enough, that they'll never change, that whatever they're doing is worthless.
Yeah, but you could also, but you could, but the voice is my voice doesn't like it used to. I used to think bad about myself, like, oh, dude, you're not doing nothing with your life, blah 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 blah. Like, oh, you're 25 years old, living with your parents. You don't have a job, you don't have nothing. Like, like that voice would talk to me like that. But once I started like progressing in life and like, oh, like going to work and like when I know I'm doing something good, I I know good things are gonna happen to me. So like that's what I was saying earlier. Like that's why I just continue just to do the right thing because if I do the right thing, then I mean there's nothing bad's gonna happen to me. And then that bad voice it doesn't even talk because it's like it knows I'm gonna do the right thing regardless. You know what I'm saying? Like it does like every once in a while, like I'll be like do when I'm like working and I like I'll be like because I deliver packages, so like I'll be in a neighborhood and I'm just like I smell the weed, you know, and then I'm like, and then like that voice will be like will start talking to me a little bit, you know, and then but I know if I do it, I know it's gonna happen, and I've said this so many times, like I know if I start smoking, then it's gonna lead to a full on addiction that was worse than the addiction was when I stopped this last time. It's just I know it's gonna happen, so that's why I just don't do it. And that's with anything. Like anything, it's weird because it's anything negative. Like I wish I could like have that mindset for like going to the gym. But it's like it only works with these chemicals, you know? It's crazy.
Well, I mean, that's because your good voice isn't as loud as your bad voice in respect to the gym. You have the physical thing that you remember from the alcohol and stuff like that, But if you got to a point where you had the physical remembrance of what was happening in the gym, how your body felt, then I believe that good voice would start to get louder. And like we were talking about with depression, that same thing happens. You're talking about how you always do the right thing or the good thing. And a lot of people see themselves as being that way. But then if something bad happens, they start thinking, well, I always do the good thing. Why is this bad thing happening to me? And then that's when the negative self-talk can, or the quote bad voice can start creeping in. Well, I always do the right thing. Why is the bad thing happening? Well, it's because you're not good enough. Oh, it's because you are actually a bad person. It's because you didn't do this thing, or you could have done this. And then you start feeling down on yourself, and people start believing that that bad voice is actually who they are inside, and not realizing that I'm not a good person. I'll never change. What's the point? Those aren't their actual thoughts. That's just the negativity creeping in. Because realistically, we're talking about your brain trying to keep you comfortable. Having those kind of thoughts that you're not good enough and you're not the right person for the job, you'll never change, you'll never lose weight, you'll never quit drinking, those aren't things that are going to keep you comfortable. Because in the moment, yes, that might push you towards having another drink. Yes, that might push you towards not going to the gym. But ultimately, when I was depressed, all I wanted to do was lay in bed and sleep, which, yes, in a sense is comfortable. But then in my brain, I start realizing I'm not doing my work. I'm not going to the gym. I'm not walking my dog. I'm not washing my dishes. I'm not doing the stuff that I need to do every day, which ultimately, for me, especially, starts building up and making me feel significantly less comfortable.
Mhm.
And negative self talk isn't linked to increased anxiety or depression. It's because your brain reacts to thoughts like they're real events. So when you think, I'm not good enough, your brain starts to tie it to something that actually makes you believe that you're not good enough. And here's the shift that changed things for me, is realizing that voice isn't me. It's just thoughts. Like, when you have a dream and people think, oh, my dreams are real, or things like that. But realistically, at least on a scientific level, dreams are just your brain running through every possible scenario that it can think of. Which, so if you watch X-Files and then suddenly you're dreaming about a mermaid type man with a mouth that looks like a butthole, it's because your brain is taking this thing that you saw and saying, okay, well, what if I was in this situation with this fish-faced butthole man? And, so sometimes your dreams can seem really realistic, because it's like, oh, I had a dream that me and Luke went to the Padres Rockies game and we were eating peanuts, and then there was a bird that was born out of the peanuts. It's like, okay, well, Luke and I could go to the baseball game and I could be eating peanuts. There's not going to be a bird that comes out of my peanuts. That's Your brain is just pulling different pieces of information and trying to throw them all together. So in the same way, when you're awake and your brain starts having all these negative thoughts, it's just pulling random pieces of information and trying to make it into a whole complete vision that some people just find believable.
That's a good point. And the best like advice for the people who get to the point where they're trying to do good but bad things keep happening, like the best way to look at that for me is that you gotta look at those as lessons. And then because if you look at it as a lesson, then it ends up becoming a positive, so it's like you got to look at those things that are keep happening to you, and then as a lesson, and then learn from that lesson, and then it comes out like it ends up, if you learn from it, it ends up actually being positive, not bad.
Yeah. And I mean, the more I'm thinking about it, I'm kind of liking the idea that you're saying that we have the three voices, the good, the bad, and our own.
Yeah.
Because I feel like while that is depicted on, it's depicted in movies and TV shows a lot, like you said, with the angel and the devil.
Yeah.
And so the angel's the good voice, the devil's the bad voice. But what people fail to realize is that in between is your own voice. Like you see the person looking from shoulder to shoulder, and then ultimately they still have to make a choice, but it shows them listening to one of those voices. And here's the thing is I don't think eventually that you silence either of the voices, assuming that there is three.
Mhm.
I don't think that you silence it. I think you just learn to stop obeying it, or as I like to say, telling it to shut up. You act anyway, you work out anyway, you don't drink anyway, you do the hard thing anyway. And that ultimately is the strongest part because it shows that in a time such as this, the year of our Lord Kurt Russell 2026, that autonomy is so important. So when you allow yourself to believe that the good voice is telling you what to do or the bad voice is telling you what to do, you're giving up your own autonomy, which is, I think, one of the most hurtful things you can do for yourself. I like to, say I'm telling my voice to shut up. I'm telling my brain to shut up. And I think that for me was one of the best things because I learned to tap into my own voice. I learned to tap into not what's right, what's wrong, what's whatever. It's what I want to do and what I feel is best for me. And I feel like that's what allows people to break through the plateaus that they're at. It allows you to quit drinking. It allows you to quit smoking. It allows you to go to the gym, to eat healthier, to work on your relationship, to turn off your phone, to do all of these things, to take that leap towards the better you that most people are so afraid of because they feel like there's some kind of cosmic force pulling them this way or this way, when in reality, they are the one that makes the choice. Like, and every addict knows. I could tell you, Luke, quit drinking. Look at all the people you're hurting. Luke, look at this. Is this the way you want to live? I could tell you that for 20 years and you could tell me to fuck off.
Mhm.
But that one day that you wake up and you're like, I can't do this anymore, that's the day you start making the change.
Yeah. Do you think most people even know they have the choice in which the voice they feed, or do you think they're just like they're at the mercy of it all?
I think a lot of people forget. I think a lot of people forget that they're the ones that actually have to make the choice. And it's so much easier to be like, well, I was pulled this way because of this, or I did this thing because of that. And a lot of people don't take accountability.
Mhm.
And you see that in all forms of life. Like I love to watch these YouTube channels of police interrogations. It's like people who have been arrested and the cops are like, yeah, we've got video of this guy doing this thing. And it's like, let's just see how this goes. And the guy's lying and just talking like, no, I didn't do this. And then once so they're one, not taking accountability there. And then when they get caught, they try and make all of these excuses about why this happened or why it was, and they don't ever fully admit, yeah, I did that. And I think that that's the same with a lot of people in terms of quote their voices, is they forget that I am the captain of this ship. I am the one steering this. I am the one that decides where we go and what we do. And so I think that to answer your question, people feel like they're at the mercy of whatever voice, the devil on your shoulder, or the angel on your shoulder, or the influence of your friends, or the influence of social media, or societal pressure to do things. Like society says that as a man I shouldn't walk outside in a dress, but you know what, Kurt Cobain said fuck that. And that's how I've lived my entire life. Like, if you want to do something and it doesn't hurt anybody else, do it. And that hurting anybody else includes yourself. And drugs and alcohol and self-harm and all those other things, that takes one of the major things out of the equation because you're hurting someone, you're hurting yourself. And that's why, like, I do what I want to do and I do it so I don't hurt anybody. But I remember, and this is a silly thing, growing up, listening to like a lot of like punk and stuff like that, and a lot of metal. A lot of the musicians I liked had long hair, and my mom always told me, God didn't give me any girls, so if you want long hair, you have to cut your penis off. And I know that's a really weird thing for an adult to tell a child. But and she would never let me dye my hair. She would never let me get, a chain wallet. There's all these things that my mom thought were societally inappropriate. And I always thought it's not hurting anybody. What does it matter? What does it matter if I have long hair? Somebody's going to think I'm a girl. So what? During COVID, people called me ma'am all the time because my beard was covered by my mask. So they would just see this beautiful mane of hair and they'd be like, "Oh, thank you, ma'am." And I'd be like, "You're welcome." You know, but that's the thing. Like, I feel like, I kind of lost the thread here, but ultimately, like, you're in control. And as long as you're not hurting anybody, you decide to do whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I agree.
What's something you've done recently where the voice said no and you did it anyway?
I drank an energy drink last week, and I told myself I was never going to drink one again, and I drank one, and
Oh,
I
so you disobeyed the good voice.
I drank a but I you know what I'm saying, like, because like I said, if I drink soda, then I'm gonna drink it for like 3 weeks straight. If I drink an energy drink, I'm gonna drink it for like 3 weeks straight. So it's like I did it. It was because I was actually really tired in the coffee. Like I had coffee and it's coffee hasn't really been helping me out lately. I don't know what's wrong with it, but I was tired and I was like, this should help me out. And I did it and I mean I didn't regret it, but I just knew that I told myself I wasn't gonna do it anymore and I did it. So it's like I yeah, I listened to the bad voice and
Well, every time you act against the voice, you're literally rewiring your brain. And
yeah,
the funny thing, like the thing I find funniest about that is that you're talking about the coffee not helping you, and so you drink an energy drink. I feel like the voice gets the loudest when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you're overwhelmed. So you not getting the effect of coffee and deciding to drink an energy drink despite your voice telling you weren't going to do that again, I think that's the perfect analogy.
yeah. It's I mean I was dead set on never. But dude, like I mean, yeah, it's I don't know. The energy drinks are not the worst thing you could do. I mean, if you drink them every day, like 3 or 4 a day, like yeah, it could lead to like problems. But like it's just weird how you could go from like I'll never do this again. I know for a fact I'll never do this again, and then I did it. It reminds me of when I was a little kid, dude. Like both my parents, they smoked cigarettes, and I hated them, dude. I freaking hated them, and I hated them, and I told my parents like how disgusting were, and then I started hanging out with friends. I started smoking. I hated it. Talked so much like crap about it, and I knew in my heart that I would never ever smoke cigarettes, dude. And I ended up smoking cigarettes for like 5 years. It's just it's crazy. Like that it's weird how you could be so convinced you're not going to do something and then you could be convinced out of it. You convince yourself out of it.
So in those moments, it's easiest to listen to whichever voice is the loudest, and at that point your bad voice was the loudest because I don't know, maybe you started smoking because you were overwhelmed or stressed or there's peer pressure. So now with all that and all that you've been through, what do you do to make sure that your good voice stays louder than the bad ones when things get tough?
It's like what I said in the beginning. It's just I gotta keep doing what I know is right, and then and just know that I'm doing something right, and know that because I'm doing something right, I'm going to good things are going to come out of it. And if something bad comes out of it, like I said, it's still a positive because if you learn from that bad thing, it's a positive.
Yeah,
What about
absolutely. What was that?
what about you? No, no,
I
I want to know what happened with what like where you didn't listen to or when you listened to the voice. Like I need
uh with me that's with me that's about food all the time. like 100%. I mean, I'm very in control of my own thoughts and what I do and the things that I choose. But food is the one thing that I was 100 pounds in third grade. And I know like that may not make a connection for most people, but in third grade, let me see. So I was five in kindergarten, six, seven, eight. So I was probably like 9 years old and I was 100 pounds. That's crazy. The average 9 year old is probably about 60 to 70 pounds. And I've been a big kid my whole life. And I've had times where I've lost the weight, I've gained it back, I've lost weight, gained it back. And it's always there. Food will always be the hardest addiction for me. And, it's like, I mean, even yesterday, my gym closes at 3 o'clock on Sundays. I knew I was going to the Padre game yesterday, and I was like, man, it's like 10 o'clock or 10:30. I just finished up at the gym. I need something to eat. What am I going to do? And it's like, I should just get a burrito. And I could have gone home and had cereal. I could have had a protein shake. I could have made myself some rice and veggies or something. But I was like, if I get a burrito, I'm in my car at the gym. I can order it on my phone. It'll be ready by the time I get there. And then I can go home. It's fast, it's easy. Yeah, it's not the best choice calorically, but it's quick and easy. And that's what I did. I got a burrito. And I do that all the time. I'll be at the grocery store and it's like I'm buying stuff for dinner and then it's like I should just get a pint of ice cream.
Yeah.
It's on sale. That's pretty good, right? It's on sale, dude. And if ice cream is on clearance, bro, it's over. I will literally buy 5, 6, 7, 8 pints of ice cream, and they're in the freezer. And then realistically, on a smart note, a pint has, I think, like 3 or 4 servings in it. That should last my wife and I 2 or 3 nights. I will get home and I will eat one of those pints. My wife and I might share a pint, but at the end of a week, I'll have eaten 7 of those because they're there. And I'm like, hey, it sounds good. Like, why not have a little sweet treat? So for me, it's always food. That's always when the voice is the loudest. That's the one that I always do, even though the voice tells me not to, or I listen to the bad voice. And like you said, there's always a lesson there. And ultimately, I don't think that our goal should be to get rid of that voice. I think the goal is to stop letting that voice run your life and realize that you are the one here. Like this is just the vessel. The brain is what's controlling all of this, but I control the brain. I am the brain. I tell the brain what to do. I tell it to shut up. I'm telling myself to move my hands all stupid right now, So ultimately, I can have the voices, I can have this outside influence and outside stimuli, but I am the one that makes the decision. I am the one that decides what's right and wrong for me. And I am the one that keeps myself healthy and happy and content and keeps myself moving forward towards the best version of myself.
Yep. It's progress. And a lot of it's just instant gratification, that like the food, like when I like, dude, I love food too. And it all based for both of us, like we realized it well, I realized it on the other on a earlier podcast that it's trauma or it's trauma. But I like the way it makes me feel, dude. Like it's not the way it tastes. It's just like when it just makes my body feel good. So like it's an addiction.
It is. It's absolutely an addiction.
Yeah.
And like I don't even feel good about it. And then a lot of the time I'll overeat and then I'll feel like shit. And then it's like, well, did that to myself. But like you said, it's instant gratification. And whenever I succumb to that, that's me listening to the quote bad voice about, yeah, actually, you do want that thing versus listening to myself being like, no, you don't. Like you may think that you want it. Cause I think that's the you voice. That's the logic and the rationale. That's you saying, I may want that because it'll taste good, or I feel like I deserve it. But ultimately, it's not going to do anything for me. Calorically, it's a waste of calories. It's a waste of money because I'm just going to eat it and then it's going to be gone. And it's going to undo the progress that I just did. Like yesterday was an accessory day. So I only did like an hour long workout, didn't burn too many calories, maybe like 400 calories during the hour. And the burrito probably easily had 700. So I instantly undid the work that I just did. And it wasn't like I was getting a ton of protein. So it was kind of a caloric net loss. Or,
Yeah.
well, I guess gain. I guess I was gaining more calories than I burned. But even still, like this whole journey is about becoming the better version of yourself. And a lot of that is, mental as well. Like we're talking about strong and sober, not just being strong in the physical sense, but also emotionally, mentally, etc. And that's what this episode has been about, is learning to take back your own mental strength. Last week we talked about the emotional strength, and the mental strength goes hand in hand with that, because when you are strong mentally, it allows you to really look at yourself objectively and see who you are and that you are in control of everything in your life. I mean, not everything in your life, but everything that you're doing. I forgot where I heard this quote, and it's been a long time since we ended with a quote, and I probably did this one before, but life is 10% what happens to you and 90% how you deal with it. And that's exactly what the moral of today's episode is that you get to decide how you handle things in your life, whether it's a good voice, a bad voice, outside influence, physical cravings, or addiction. You get to decide how you are going to deal with those things. And you'll find in the end, if you use your own voice, you're stronger than you think. So that's been the Strong and Sober podcast. Thank you as always for listening. Hope you learned something today, maybe found something that resonated with you, or maybe you'll just use today's teachings and apply them to your own life and realize that you have your own voice and go from there. You can follow us on Instagram at Strong and Sober Podcast. You can follow Luke Weaver on Instagram at Luke Weaver, LVKE Weaver. I'm at Matty Ding Dong, Matty. And if you can't spell ding dong, you're a ding dong. And if you have any questions, comments, you want to be a guest on this show, you want to share your success stories, you want to have some advice or offer some advice, literally anything, you could send us an email at strongandsoberpodcast@gmail.com.
Yep. Yep.
Anything you want to add, Luke?
Just I mean, the only thing is that it's a lot easier if you're not taking like if you're not altered, you know what I'm saying? Like it's easier to hear your good voice when you're when you're
I
not,
I
you know.
love hearing you say altered. It always reminds me of your mom
I know,
asking you, Lucas, are you altered?
the white owl.
That shit was hilarious, man. I love that. I still say that to this day. Are
Never
you
thought.
altered? Well, as always, for Luke Weaver, I'm Matty Ding Dong. Thank you so much for listening. And as always, stay strong, stay sober, and stay tuned. And we'll see you next week.